What if I told you that this video is alchemy happening right before your eyes? No, it's not just another random piece of content on the internet. If you're watching this, it's because something within you called for it, asked for change, asked for truth. In spiritual alchemy, nothing happens by chance. Chance is just an unrecognized law. Everything follows a principle. Everything is mental. Everything vibrates. Your thought was the cause, and this video is the effect. You feel it because, even if your mind questions it, deep down you know this is no coincidence. The Kabbalah, this veiled work that's been guarded for centuries by initiates, doesn't reveal itself to everyone. It only appears to those who are ready to break the veil of illusion and begin transforming their reality from the inside out. Being here now is your sign, and it doesn't matter if you understand everything or feel lost. The truth is, you don't need more information. You need to remember, and what will be shared here will help you do just that. At the end of this video, I will show you how to use the 7 principles of the Kabbalah to transform your reality in a practical, direct, and permanent way. But first, you need to hear what only those who are ready can hear. Long before modern science, before religions were structured as we know them today, there was a name whispered among priests, philosophers, and initiates. Hermes Trismegistus, thrice great, thrice mastered, he was initiated into the deepest mysteries of creation. He's the point where 2 ancient cultures meet. In Egypt, he was the god of wisdom, writing, and time. In Greece, he became Hermes, the messenger between worlds, patron of hidden knowledge and divine communication. The fusion of these figures created an archetype so powerful that its influence spanned centuries, hidden within symbols, ciphers, and code words. Hermes is considered the founder of the first mystery school in Egypt, where knowledge wasn't handed out directly, but experienced by those ready to receive it. His teachings were so secret, so sealed, that they gave rise to the term Hermetic knowledge, locked wisdom inaccessible to the superficial gaze, reserved for initiates. It's like a spiritual vault guarding the laws that govern the invisible. About 35 works were attributed to him, many of which were lost in the fires that destroyed the Library of Alexandria. But a small part survived, and it was this spark that lit the flame of a tradition that would pass through the centuries, the Kabbalah. Written in 1908 by authors who chose to remain anonymous, signing only as the 3 initiates, the Kabbalah isn't just a book. It's a treatise, a coded compendium that synthesizes the essence of original Hermeticism. Though it may seem recent, its foundation is ancient. The language may have been adapted for the modern world, but the content pulses with the same energy as the hieroglyphs carved into the stones of the Temple of Hapi. This oral and vibrational lineage was never meant to be popular, which is why few have heard of it, and even fewer have understood it. All is mind. The universe is a living thought, and it is because of this silent legacy passed on in an almost invisible way that the first principle revealed in the Kabbalah has such a deep impact: mentalism. According to this law, everything that exists, absolutely everything, is mind. The entire universe with its planets, galaxies, cycles of nature, human emotions, ideas, and memories is all a living thought vibrating within the consciousness of the All. This is not a metaphor. For the initiates, it's literal. You're not observing the universe from the outside. You are inside it. More than that, you're inside the mind of God. Imagine a mind so vast and powerful that everything it thinks manifests as reality. That is the essence, of the all, the primordial consciousness, the source. The Hindus called it Mahatam, the cosmic mind. The Gnostics called it Ploma. The Hermetists simply called it the all. But what does that mean in practice? It means that the reality you live in right now is directly shaped by the quality of your thoughts. Everything begins within. Nothing moves out there without first moving in here. The mind is the matrix. Your perception, your mental patterns, your deepest beliefs, all of that functions as the brush with which you paint your existence. It's as if we are living inside a simulation, but a simulation created by spiritual laws. And the most surprising part, you actively take part in this creation. Your thoughts, emotions, intentions, and vibrational state directly affect the events around you. This truth is behind everything. That's why Buddha said suffering is born from the mind. That's why Jesus said faith can move mountains, and why Hermes revealed that everything is mental. Modern quantum physics is beginning to align with this idea. The famous observer effect shows how the behavior of particles changes depending on the presence of an observing consciousness. This is just one of many pieces of evidence that the mind influences matter. So, if the universe is mind, and you are a spark of that supreme mind, what's stopping your life from being consciously shaped? When you begin to understand that everything is mind, and that reality is shaped from the inside out, a natural question arises. Why do things seem to happen so randomly? Why do some people suffer so much while others move through life with ease? The answer lies in what the Kabbalah reveals directly. Everything happens according to law. True chance does not exist. What we call luck, coincidence, or fate is actually just a spiritual law we haven't recognized yet. The universe is no random chaos. It's a perfect symphony governed by 7 universal laws. And these laws don't need your belief to operate, just like gravity doesn't stop acting if you don't believe in it. The Hermetic laws act on your life constantly, even if you're unaware of them. One of the most important is the law of cause and effect. Everything you are living today is a direct consequence of causes set into motion in the past. Not just actions, but thoughts, emotions, and vibrations you've maintained over time. This is karma. This is subtle physics. This is Hermeticism in its purest form. To illustrate this more clearly, I'll share a brief story that perfectly represents this principle. In a village surrounded by mountains, there lived an old gardener known for his calm and wisdom. Every day, he tended his plants with great patience, even when the sun was harsh or the rain destroyed his garden. One day, a young man from the village, frustrated with his own failures, asked the old man why his life was so hard, while the old man seemed to live in peace. The old man smiled and said, "Come early tomorrow morning. I want to show you something." The next morning, they took a seed to the top of a hill. The old man asked the young man to plant it, and then return every day to water it. At first, nothing happened. After weeks, a small sprout appeared, and the young man began to smile. But one stormy day, the sprout was ripped out by the wind. Frustrated, the young man shouted, "See? Nothing ever works out." The old man calmly replied, "You want to harvest an oak tree with the patience of a flower. That was just one cause among millions. Your life is the sum of all the seeds you've planted, whether you are aware of them or not. Some sprout quickly, others take years. Some you've forgotten you even buried, but no seed fails to answer the law." This simple story holds the heart of the law of cause and effect. You are not at the mercy of invisible forces playing with your life. You are experiencing the effects of the causes you've already set in motion or accepted unconsciously. Everything you vibrate, think, feel, desire, and reject, all of it returns to you in the form of experience. Rhythm and return. The path is not linear, and it is precisely when we understand that everything we experience is the result of causes we set in motion that we begin to see the logic behind the highs and lows of our journey. But even with that understanding, there are moments when everything seems to fall apart. You take one step forward and feel like you're taking 2 steps back. The feeling of regression can be frustrating. However, this too is governed by one of the 7 laws, the law of rhythm. This law teaches us that everything in life moves like a pendulum. Everything flows and abides. Emotions, energy, relationships, finances, health, spirituality. There's a constant oscillation, sometimes subtle, sometimes intense, but it never stops. Nothing rises or falls forever. Just as the sea has its tides, as day turns into night, as winter comes before spring, your life also goes through inevitable cycles. These cycles don't mean failure. They are part of the sacred mechanics of the universe. The financial market itself is a practical expression of this. Experienced analysts know that continuous growth is an illusion. Moments of correction will inevitably arise, but the key is to remain calm during the low points and not be deceived by the highs. This is the essence of rhythm. And here comes an even deeper understanding. Plato taught that the soul evolves in a spiral. This means that even if you feel like you're returning to the same place, you're not. You're revisiting that point, but at a higher level of consciousness. It's like climbing a spiral-shaped mountain. Each time you pass the same angles and views, but from a higher perspective. What once affected you deeply now only grazes the surface. What once seemed like an ending is now simply part of the journey. Regression, then, is an illusion. It is only the curve of your own transformation. Recognizing this shifts everything. When you accept the rhythm, you stop fighting against life's cycles. You begin using the inward phases to reflect and the expansion phases to manifest with awareness. The secret isn't to avoid movement, but to learn how to flow with it. If rhythm teaches us that everything moves in cycles, polarity shows us that everything also has 2 sides of the same essence. Life isn't made of absolute opposites, but rather variations in frequency within the same vibrational spectrum. For example, cold and hot aren't different substances, they're just varying intensities of the same phenomenon, temperature. The same goes for emotions like fear and love, sadness and joy, chaos and order. These apparent opposites are connected by an invisible thread, the degree of vibration. The higher the vibration, the more refined its expression. Matter vibrates slowly, appearing solid and dense. As vibration speeds up, matter becomes energy, and even faster, it becomes light spirit. At the highest frequency, it merges with the one consciousness, what we call God. This is the secret of transmutation. You don't have to stop being who you are or try to eliminate your shadows. What you need to do is raise the vibration of what already exists within you. Fear can be transmuted into courage, attachment into conscious love, anger into transformative action, and pain into a catalyst for awakening. This is the essence of true alchemy, not turning lead into gold, but transmuting inner states, shifting the vibrational frequency of lower states into higher ones without denying their nature. Just as an alchemist uses fire and timing to transform substances, The practitioner of Hermetic wisdom learns to observe and raise their inner frequency with intention. This is inner alchemy, vibrational mastery, and awakening purpose in motion. These small shifts guide the path. At this stage, something starts to stir within you, almost imperceptible, but deeply transformative. As you apply the Hermetic principles and practice inner transmutation, you become more aware of yourself. With this awareness, you begin to realize that what you once thought was your life's purpose might have only been an invitation, a little ball thrown ahead by your soul to get you moving, not as the final destination, but as a tool the universe used to propel you forward. How many times have you chased something with all your energy, believing it was the peak of your mission, only to reach it and realize it no longer made sense? This happens to everyone on the journey, and it's not a mistake. Hermes Trismegistus said, "The path reveals the seeker." This means that you don't have to have everything figured out before you start. As you walk, the veil lifts. You discover yourself through the search. Every desire, every goal, every dream that once pulsed inside you was a reflection of your consciousness at that moment. And as your consciousness changes, so do your desires. That's why so many dreams die before they come true. Not because you failed, but because you've changed, and the version of you that wanted them is no longer in charge. A new, more conscious identity has emerged. This is not failure, it's evolution. Purpose, contrary to popular belief, is not fixed or carved in stone. It is alive, breathing with you, shifting as you transform. Imagine you're in an open field, throwing little balls ahead of you. You run after one, commit to reaching it, and dive in. But along the way, another ball appears, maybe brighter, lighter, or more challenging, and it's natural to want to go after it. The previous ball wasn't in vain. It served its purpose, pulling you out of inertia and pushing you to the next level. Each of those little balls is a sacred stage that shapes who you are becoming. They teach you to trust the movement, to open to the new, and to expand your perception of what's possible. The mistake would be clinging to a ball that no longer resonates with your soul, simply out of fear of seeming inconsistent. But what looks like inconsistency is often the reflection of a soul expanding. Perhaps right now, a new ball is beginning to appear, a subtle restlessness in your chest, a recurring thought, a desire to move to a new city, change careers, or study something new. Even if it doesn't make sense yet, even if your mind tries to dismiss it, there's something there, a new cycle wanting to begin. That's the invitation of awakened consciousness, to realize that purpose is not a straight line, but a constant rising spiral. With each turn, you see the world from a new angle, and what once seemed essential now feels small. That's not devaluation, it's clarity. You no longer need to blame yourself for changing your mind, or feel ashamed of letting go of an old dream. Every ball you chased was necessary. Every path, every detour, every apparent mistake was, in truth, the next right step. Purpose isn't a trophy to be won. It's inside you, revealing itself with every step, with every yes you give to your process. As long as you keep throwing those little balls, as long as you stay curious and present, the path will keep unfolding. Purpose isn't about arriving, it's about continuing. As long as there's movement, there will be meaning. All the laws are one, the source code of the universe. And as new little balls appear and your path becomes clearer, you start to realize that none of this is random. There's a hidden code behind reality, an invisible pattern silently weaving everything together, like a spiritual thread connecting all the experiences you've had up to now. This thread is made of the 7 hermetic laws, and the more you understand them, the more you see that deep down, they're all different expressions of a single wisdom. When you try to understand one law in isolation, you quickly realize you're touching upon the others. Discussing rhythm inevitably leads to polarity. Understanding cause and effect brings you to mentalism. It's like trying to separate the threads of a tapestry without unraveling the whole design. Each law is an aspect of the all. Each one reveals a facet of how the universal mind operates. Mentalism is the structure holding everything together. It states that all is mind, that everything starts with thought and creative consciousness. It is the origin of everything. Correspondence acts as the bridge between worlds. As above, so below. As within, so without. It helps us read the outer world as a reflection of our inner universe. Vibration teaches us that nothing is at rest. Everything pulses and moves. Polarity shows us that everything has 2 sides, 2 extremes of the same thing, hot and cold, love and fear, light and shadow. This law guides us to transmute by consciously shifting between poles. The law of rhythm shows us that everything moves in cycles, and that these cycles are a natural part of the universe's sacred mechanics. The universe breathes with the tides rising and falling, and life moves between highs and lows. This law encourages us to flow with acceptance and the wisdom of timing. Cause and effect shows that nothing occurs by chance. Every action leads to a reaction, and every choice plants a seed. Reality responds to what we put out, whether consciously or unconsciously. The law of gender reveals that everything contains both active and receptive forces, the creative impulse and the creative receptacle. Life emerges when these forces are in harmony. These laws form the foundation of the universe's source code, the invisible force that drives creation. Most people go through life being carried by these laws, reacting to their effects, without realizing they could consciously navigate them. However, those who study and live by these principles with awakened attention become the alchemists of their own reality. When the seeker begins to see this great source code shaping reality, an even deeper truth emerges. The initiate does not fight against the laws, but dances with them. The KYBALION clearly states that the wise person does not rebel against the law, but understands and works with it. The average person is carried along like a log in the current, but the initiate swims with it, surpassing it. Imagine 2 swimmers in a river with a strong current. The first, unaware of the tides, struggles against the flow, exhausting himself and being pulled back. The second, however, understands the flow, the curves, the rhythm of the water. He doesn't fight it, but adjusts, gliding effortlessly, almost as if flying. This is the difference between living unconsciously and being awakened to the laws. One person lives in conflict, trying to change the outer world without understanding the inner world, while the other changes their frequency and watches the world shift around them. When you understand mentalism, you begin to observe your thoughts. When you understand correspondence, you see how external patterns reflect your inner world. When you understand rhythm, you stop punishing yourself during the lows and start respecting your own rising cycles. True power lies not in control, but in alignment. This is the secret of the masters. They don't try to force life. They align with it. They create, not through effort, but through vibration. Now that you're beginning to understand all of this, the crucial question arises. How do you use the KYBALION in practice to change your reality once and for all? You're not here just to admire these concepts. You're here to activate them in your own life. It's possible. You just need to start living according to these laws. Let's examine each of them directly with real-life examples so you can apply them today. Mentalism. Everything starts in the mind. Your reality reflects your dominant thoughts. If you think scarcity, you experience lack. If you vibrate with fear, you attract experiences that reinforce it. What to do? Watch your inner dialogue. Start your day with positive affirmations. Visualize the reality you want as if it's already happening. Avoid negative conversations and content that drains you. Practical example. Instead of thinking, "I never have enough money," change it to, "I create opportunities for prosperity every day." Correspondence. What happens outside is a reflection of what's happening inside. What to do? Bring order to the micro, your room, your body, your nutrition, and it will reflect in the macro. Practical example. Tidy up your space before making important decisions. It will shift your vibration and bring clarity. Vibration. Everything is frequency. You only attract what matches your vibration. What to do? Raise your frequency with silence, meditation, nature, music, art, laughter, or gratitude. Practical example. Keep a gratitude journal and write down 3 things you're grateful for each day. It shifts your frequency in under 3 minutes. Polarity. Everything has 2 poles. Cold is the absence of heat. Hatred is misdirected love. You don't need to eliminate the negative. You need to shift the degree. What to do? Transmute. When you feel anger, channel it into movement, action, or art. When you feel fear, observe how much of it can turn into awareness or caution. Practical example. Instead of running from sadness, use it as fuel to search for something more meaningful. Rhythm. Everything has its highs and lows. No one vibrates high all the time, and that's okay. Accepting your cycles is aligning with nature. What to do? Learn to rest in the valleys and take action during the peaks. Avoid making major decisions during low moments. Practical example. On a low-energy day, allow yourself to slow down without guilt. That is rhythmic wisdom. Cause and effect. Nothing is by chance. Every action creates a consequence. What you're experiencing today is the result of seeds you planted earlier. What to do? Plant differently now. Change your habits, thoughts, and posture. Practical example. If you're constantly stressed, check your sleep, nutrition, and rest cycles. Small causes can lead to big effects. Gender. Everything contains both masculine and feminine principles. The masculine is action. The feminine is intuition and gestation. Balancing these forces within yourself is essential to creating a stable reality. What to do? Act when it's time to act, and withdraw when it's time to feel. Value intuition as much as planning. Practical example. Before making an important decision, listen to your intuition first, then apply it with clarity and focus. You don't have to get everything perfect. You just need to align your being with the laws. When you change internally, the universe responds. It always has, but now you're beginning to hear it. See you in the next video.